And now we are live once again. This is the show in which two gentlemen come together to do the thing that they love most in the whole world, which is talk to one another. There's nothing more than Ryan Ray or Ben Samuels would like to do than to sit around and talk to each other on a daily basis. And that's why the show is called Don't Let Back. Thank you for tuning in. What's his name? And this show, everything is in the name, which means that you don't really know what is or is not true. Did I get it all?
Actually, I think we failed last time to tell the story of kind of how this podcast came together, and it's a relatively short story. But we had the first iteration, bring in the closers. We ran through 40 something episodes, somewhere in that ballpark.
I've tried to put it out my memory, but sure.
Fair enough. But we were talking recently, and actually, basically, what you just said. I mean, we basically were like, let's just take the conversations on air and see what happens, because some of the things that we talk about, some of the conversations that we have, certainly shouldn't be brought on air. But I think that the two of us are maybe it's just a time in life, or maybe it's just a method of communication that we like to just kind of go at it. And so it's going to be interesting to kind of see where this goes. Pretty open forum. Want to keep the listeners or the listener engaged if possible. But so let's see what we got going on.
We need to mention one thing. Ben has agreed to handle all litigation. So anything that we say that is slanderous, fraudulent, or whatever, those lawsuits go to the Samuels side of the equation, the law firm here. So
this is a War Room Media podcast for a reason. Let's not get it twisted. This is on.
Cut the feed. Go to the control. Cut the feed. I'm doing this under duress. Just want it on the record.
Well,
Speaking of duress,
you and Biden both.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of under duress, I got to ask you: did you see this story about the guy who got shanked at Thanksgiving?
What?
Nope. Oh, okay. So hold on. Let's pull this up.
Is this the crap about last year? I think I read a story about somebody stabbed their uncle because they had one too many pieces of the chicken or something. It was
pretty close. This is new though. This is a man stabbed over Thanksgiving leftovers.
Oh my god!
This is Chicago, which I like Chicago. I'm a Blackhawks fan, but it's not really surprising. Someone murdered in Chicago too soon. Probably I get it. So this cat, they're at 3:15 a.m. They're fighting over leftovers. Like, how do you fight over leftovers at 3:15 a.m.? Here's the line that got me though. Here's the line. Dixon is the alleged murderer. Before leaving court, Dixon asked the judge how much time he faces. I was just asking how much does the case carry, Dixon asked. First-degree murder from 20 to 60 years, sir. So this cat could go down for 20 to 60 years over old turkey. It's not like a fried turkey straight out the grease where you're like, I got to get the skin. I'm ready to go. I will fist fight over this. This is reheated turkey. It's cooled, and you're going to fist fight over reheated turkey. What is wrong with people, Ben?
Get some perspective. I mean, at least go at it when it's fresh out of the oven.
Grease makes perfect sense.
I mean, if you're talking about some peach blueberry cobbler or something, if you start to put the fork in front of you, we're gonna have words.
Yeah.
It's. I guess we're making light of it, but I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. And not to get serious for a second, or to take it too far left here, but I mean, I think it's interesting. This year, if you look at the suicide rate, you look at mental health statistics, and you look at some of what the country is going through, it seems like right now, because of all the other factors at play, people are uber stressed comparative to even their baseline. And so I think it doesn't necessarily surprise me, I guess I would say, that some of these things are happening more frequently. Only because there seems to be kind of some more stressors. I can't fathom being at a family dinner and something like that, going down.
I mean, I've been to family deals, and we've had word exchange. But it's odd I mean, you have to be pretty hammered to stab someone normally, but to stab someone over a leftover turkey, that's pretty desperate. I mean, that's
and but family. It's not even like, I mean, like, okay, so let's say that like your arch rival is sitting across the table and like you hate the guy and you're way too many in, like maybe you make a mistake, but it's like
look at that thug. Speaking of thug life, that dude.
That's awesome.
And that hottie he's with. How did he pull that off?
By the way, can we are we going to get a baseball card cameo at some point?
Yeah, it's right here. Hold on. Go ahead. Keep talking your nonsense. Go ahead.
I'm not saying anything important. I guess that's not anything abnormal.
That's the norm. Here, the office is a little bit of a.
What did you? While you were looking for that, what did you guys end up doing for Thanksgiving? What?
I can't.
What was that like around the Ray household?
You have to.
I have to take over the airwaves here for a second.
You have to carry the show for a few minutes.
Uh-oh.
I'll put you center for everyone to see.
What's that? Oh God. Okay.
Hold on. Here we go. No. Go. Keep talking. Just keep talking.
I'm listening to you tell me to keep talking. So no, like I was saying, I think there's one of the things I was thinking about, just kind of in a year end. I don't know for people listening, or Ryan, I don't know what you when or how you kind of go through the process. I generally pretty consistently, but certainly on a yearly basis, kind of take stock of how the year went, both professionally, across the board, professionally, personally, etc. Look at that. Can we get a close up of that? And I mean, that thing is just beautiful.
It is. It is. It was right under the camera. I couldn't find it. It was under something on the camera. There it is. It's Carol Baskins and her soon-to-be next dead husband, and autographed, authentic. You know who got this for me, Ben?
I do, actually. Good guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I want that to listen. We'll leave that up to their imagination. Who got that for me?
We haven't actually talked about any of that. That's gonna be a fun rabbit hole once we go into those waters. No, but I was just talking about some of the the year end stuff, and I was realizing that this year, more than any of the in recent memory, there were definitely some times that I had to take a step back and kind of reset mentally, and there were also some things that happened in my life that I saw from some other people that were wildly out of character and pretty remarkable, and sort of wondering if some of those what's that?
I thought me and you moved past that. You were going to bring that up again.
Well, I didn't name any names. I didn't say you. No, I mean, no wonder we went on a hiatus with the podcast for 6 months.
Hey, speaking of that, do you want to play the clip of the last episode we recorded where we talked about the pandemic?
I don't know. Do I? I probably don't. I probably. I mean, given the hot takes I was spewing at the time, I probably don't.
Given the fact that I brought it up, that's a definite no. If I bring it up, it's like no, we don't.
I'm gonna go with a no. But thank you. You can keep those in the archives. And I know, obviously or at least on a professional level, you had a pretty transformative year. But I mean, did you sort of see any of that yourself as well? Did you see kind of any just sort of maybe odd behavior that maybe you could tie to some of the the stressors that were kind of floating around?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I've been trying to grapple with how to think about the world as it is now, and I've kind of come to adopt the new normals instead of new normal. So we're in kind of a phase of new normals, and but that's how it's always been. It's just that this was a drastic new normal for us, and so and it was so shocking in a way that no one, and when I say no one could have predicted that the U.S. government would have shut down the country, the world governments would have shut down, and it would have gone over as well as it did. I don't think anyone, if me and you were recording, when we were recording Bring the Closers, if I'd have told you that was going to happen, or vice versa, we would have laughed at the other person hysterically saying no. And so, I think that it's that kind of shock to the system takes so long, because even today, you're sitting here going, okay, surely they're not going to shut down things again. Surely they're not. But then you go, well, they just did. And so I think that has a big mental impact, on people, and you're trying to figure out what's next. People like stability. We talked about the stock market. People like stability because most people are living paycheck to paycheck, month to month. They're just trying to get by in life. Stability is what they need more than the freaking people on Wall Street. They need stability, and so I think that when you remove that from their lives, that's a big stressor.
I completely agree. And actually, I don't know if you meant to, but I appreciate this lead in because you just gave me an opportunity to kind of repackage what I had been talking about back earlier in the year and make myself sound at least a little bit better. Not much, but just a little bit.
Everyone knows we literally have nothing planned to talk about, so I did not intend to do anything positive for you. That should be clear. If it happens,
which makes it even better.
It sucks.
And this is authentic because this is the kind of shit that happens when the two of us are on the phone off air, anyways. So this is great. This is exactly what was supposed to happen.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, last episode, did you catch yourself saying that I'm smarter than you? Did you catch that?
I compliment you a lot. You just don't catch it sometimes. But no, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Okay. It's on.
And by the way, it's not the reason, but this is part of the. Why can't I do not just? This is part of the reason that I need a new chair. This is. Yeah, it's difficult to do this when you're not looking at. But what is this? What the hell?
I don't know. I just love. So just for understanding why we're talking about this, Ben tags me in a post last night like, "Hey, do you and two other people have any recommendations for chairs?" Well, obviously, we record this podcast. We both have the same chair. I mean, his is blue, mine's blue.
I thought he might have just heard of one that that was like, "Oh, that's a really good chair," but I'm not going to buy it because I like mine.
I put my chair there because that's the only one that I use. You get mad at me. It's like, well, what did you expect? What did you think I was going to do? Like, you set yourself up for that disaster.
Knowing you, that's absolutely correct. You are right. I take 100% of the blame there. Yeah, I should.
You know what I really appreciated? I used an Amazon affiliate link when I posted it there. So if someone bought that chair, I got a little commission.
Nice. Well played. Well played.
Well played. I thought so too.
I'll make sure to delete the comment.
I got $5 less yesterday. So someone bought something. What did they buy?
Nice.
Yes.
What was I talking about before you went?
Nothing important.
Yeah. I mean, obviously. Can we talk about worst role in Star Wars?
Okay. Let me just say, we're sitting there recording, and I'm trying to think through. So, for people who don't know, I am basically the star, the director, the producer, the talent. I'm pretty much everything, which means that I'm running all the controls, like this beautiful scenery and setup. I'm doing this. So, a friend of mine, we have a podcast about the Mandalorian. So last night we're on, and Ben comes on and starts spamming us with comments because he's a troll, and that's great. But then he makes a comment about Worf and Star Wars, and it was so hard just to not laugh and appreciate that because Kyle was on a serious riff about Star Wars, which is not a serious topic. But when you're nerding out like that, it's hard. So it was tough to maintain.
Let me say that. So I am a very avid fan of Star Wars. I know the storyline. Well, let me say it this way. Before listening last night, I thought I knew the storyline or knew the character and story arc very well. I was very impressed. The two of you, I listened to that thing for a long time. I don't even know how long. It was really fascinating. I think specific to the conversation last night, or was it last night or a couple nights ago, whatever it was, specific to that topic, you really have to understand what's going on in the story to even, for it to make any sense. But I really enjoyed that. So done.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That's good. Are you somewhere in the ranks of Star Wars podcasts?
The bottom, the very bottom. The absolute. We're in the junk. You remember episode 4 where they drop the trash and they go in there with Leia? And yeah, we're beneath the serpent that's in there. We're on his. Yeah. That's where we're at in Star Wars Ranking Podcast. So,
oh man. So what's all right, let's turn a corner. Give me some good news. What's going to go on in 2021 that I can look forward to? What's the good stuff?
Unfortunately, I think the good stuff is stuff that you don't like. And I'm not being serious.
I like how you answer a question of what's the good stuff. First word out of the mouth, unfortunately. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, if I was talking to someone else, I might be like, for you, this is good news. But for you, it's bad news. I think the good stuff is going to be buying junk, whether that's debt, whether that's foreclosed houses. And I say junk, not necessarily junk, but junk bonds, and kind of that mindset. Bad assets. I think that's not good news. It will be good news for those who buy it and reap the benefit, but it's bad news overall. So it depends how you look at it. But if you're one of those people who says, okay, I'm going to go in here and pick up distressed assets, whether that could be, there's going to be a lot of cars that are going to be, the notes will be behind, a lot of foreclosures, credit card debt, medical bill debt. There's a lot of debt that's going to be on the table. For those,
are evictions back online, or is there still moratoriums on evictions?
So I talked to someone the other day offline. I won't mention the name, but they were telling me that they owned a building in a northern state and they couldn't evict the people. But what they could do was turn the heat off because they had control of the utilities. And so they cut the heat off, they cut the air conditioner off, they're cutting the electricity off. They can't evict them, but they can do things like that. And so they're having to do that.
Is that legal? I mean, is it legal? So if you can't evict someone, can you that's interesting. I wouldn't think that would be.
Maybe I'm making this up. I'm not making it up, but maybe I am to protect the identity of the person. I will go to jail before I get the name.
The person. The person.
No, but they were dead serious. They were saying that's what they have to do, and it's like, that's for someone who wants. This is a commercial property, so I'm assuming that the walls are probably than a residential. And so, but yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, I think that changes it a lot, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're not going to be evicting, a single mom of 3. I don't think right now. That's going to be a tough look.
So the lead-in question, or I guess the secondary question, I should say, that I wanted to get to was, given the new administration coming in and how they're going to be looking to govern, if we're still looking at pandemic stressors, for lack of better phraseology, I mean, how much longer do you think that we can, because the other side of the coin is, I mean, how much longer do you think we can put landlords in the position of not earning income and not getting rent? And I don't know what the number is actually. I'm not sure how many people are, out of the percentages are not paying rent or are, should have been evicted already. But it doesn't seem like it's a non-zero number. How much longer can we play this game? Where's the limit?
So let's balance those thoughts. So you have that thought, and then you have this just come up on my Twitter feed. California governor, state expects 327,000 doses of Pfizer vaccine in 3 weeks. Okay. So you have how are we going to get out of this narrative, which is very true and very real. And then you have the 327,000 vaccine news. 327,000 vaccines in the state of California is equivalent to like 1 drop of oil out of the biggest producing well in the history of Texas, right? Right?
It's
significant. 327,000 vaccines is nothing.
Right.
It is nothing. And those are probably going to go to frontline workers, stuff like that. What will the narrative be? Because the World Health Organization will probably get banned from YouTube from quoting them. But the World Health Organization came out and said that lockdowns don't work anymore. Well, the governors are still locking things down.
Did they say that? When was that recent?
Yeah, they'd said it historically. That'd been their position. And then they kind of either didn't say it or changed their position for a few months. But yeah, back in October, they came out and said that. It was covered in the War Room newsletter if you just happen to read that for those. But, speaking of which, that's a shameless plug for the newsletter. We'll go ahead and just put that out there for folks watching. But yeah, they come out and said that lockdowns are like the most extreme measures, and they shouldn't do them because of the economic toll. Shocker. Who would have thought that? So, what will we do moving forward? I think it depends on how we play the vaccine. And I don't mean that in the sense of who gets it and who doesn't get it. I mean the narrative around the vaccine.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because I think that there's a strong chance that there's a not insignificant portion of this country that, irrespective of their vulnerability to corona, they're not going to take the vaccine just because they're not going to take it because they've been indoctrinated by outside sources that they shouldn't.
Well, I wouldn't. So my stance on taking the vaccine is, if I had to travel internationally, I will probably take it. So I take it for that. I will not take it on the principle of I don't just get vaccines just to get them. So,
and I happen to agree as well. I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't gotten a flu shot in the last decade plus.
I got so when I went to Africa, I got the typhoid and some other stuff. I don't know what all I got. I don't think it was flu, but yeah. So I got a handful of shots. My kids and wife got the. I was when I went to China and Nicaragua this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I didn't know if there was a joke in there, and I was just gonna let you have it. But go ahead. Let the listeners figure out the connection. But
No.
I just got back from China this time last year for what that's worth. Let that simmer. So I had them get flu vaccines because I was gone so much. And Elke, my daughter, oldest daughter, she still got the flu, like really bad. So, yeah, and so this year I don't know if we'll get one or not. I don't think they've gotten one yet. But we're not anti-vaxxers, but we're not also like, hey, there's a vaccine out, we go get it. Now I will say this: I could be dying of stage 4 cancer, and they're like, hey, there's mandatory for you to take this. And I'm like, whoa, it's mandatory? Kind of like Marty McFly. Like, are you chicken? No. You're gonna die. I understand I'm gonna die. I will die with liberty, though. I will die a free man. So I do think the mandatory angle is a little bit tough for people to swallow because you've already ceded so much power to the government in 2020. Are you going to see the vaccine? I think that's a line. And I'll shut up after this. The media in the U.S. does a terrible job of covering international news. That has nothing to do with Trump or anything. We just cover like our own news pretty much daily. Very rarely do we cover international news unless we're like bombing someone and then they're on parades. And so, listen, this show should be called "We're Going to Be Aggressive." But with that being said, there are legitimate, real protests that are going on globally that do not get the coverage here in the U.S. You put like with France. Germany, there are protests. There are people who are pissed. There's like a civil war or something going on in Ethiopia. These are not just like, hey, hunky-dory times globally. So I don't know how much longer the global establishment as it's set up can continue to function, because we might have also, going back to your point about 2020, we might have shaken the system so much that people are like, well, hold on, if you're just going to screw me over, then why am I going to take your crap anymore? Like, why am I going to take it? Like, why am I going to sit around and take your stuff anymore if you're just going to screw me when you want to?
So let me first point out that answer somehow went negative, but the question I asked you was what was positive for 2021, but that's neither here nor there.
I started on buying junk, and I said you won't like the answer. Remember?
No, I liked that answer, and you're absolutely right. But what did you just say? I was going to say.
I was talking about the global protests. People taking it from the man anymore, kind of that mentality.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things that I've been fascinated by, and I think you and I have talked about it at length, but I mean, this concept that, okay, so I'm going to make some strong statements here. That's nothing new. Some of these are bold on purpose. Let me qualify it that way. But I mean, throughout history, there has never been what?
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
So you tell me. I mean, again, I think I said this on the last podcast. You are probably a better historian or more. You know more about history than I do. Would you agree or disagree with the assessment that there has never been a time in history where the rights and freedoms of the people were the chief goal and chief aim of the people in power? Meaning that there has never been a time in history where the people in power were incentivized and motivated primarily to make the lives and livelihood and future of their people better for the long term. Would you agree with that assessment?
Mostly. I mean, I think at the revolutionary period, the people in power wanted it to be, but of course, as soon as they took over, I think they struggled with how to balance that out.
Right. And that's a good point. I mean, so there have been small pockets of those revolts and like that movement towards freedom, but then quickly when it's like restructured and there's a power structure, then it turns back into the same system, right? And so yeah, you're right. There are very fleeting moments where the equation changes, and so the reason I say that though is because I'm fascinated by, and have been for a long time, this dynamic that, okay, so Trump, when he ran on this concept of drain the swamp, right? And I think anybody paying attention to the political arena for the last, I don't care, 4, 10, 20, 50 years, it knows it's broken, understands it's broken, doesn't understand like how it's broken or how to fix it. But I don't think anybody's sitting there and it's like, okay, that government is a well-oiled machine that works. Okay. And so under this guise of, if you're going to, let me say it this way. It's amazing to me that policymakers and politicians have somehow positioned themselves as now subject matter experts on everything. On climate, on infrastructure, on money, on pick a thing. The politician is now the smartest guy in the room at all times. That dynamic is fatally flawed, and that, I mean, I'm not going to go on the rant. But what do you think about that?
I mean, talking heads like me and you are supposed to be pretend experts and everything, not politicians, right? That's what we're here for. We need to pretend like we know everything, not those buffoons. Okay.
I mean, the politician is supposed to be the one that says, okay, people, what would you like me to go do? The people say, go do this. And the guy does that, or the woman does that. I mean,
well, so I think you're right. I think you're right on some level. I think your general premise is right about how politicians act. So agreed.
It's 3:26 p.m. on November 30th. I just want a timestamp of that. Okay, keep going.
Okay, yeah. And so I think, the politicians are sitting there and they're like, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They are all of a sudden they're experts on all these topics. They're I'm saying it over and over again just for you.
Hold on, you don't take that down. I have to get a screenshot.
But no, so look at the three branches. Okay, so in Congress, I don't think they actually are trying to do anything. I think they have given up so much power to either the EPAs of the world, which they've created, or to the executive branch. They are strictly talking heads who come together to pass out money to their constituents, and maybe put legislation that they feel is hurting their constituents. They are not really doing much benefit at all.
They don't even come together that often anymore.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, they're not in they're not in session most of the year. It's insane.
So right, but when they do come together, think about what they're passing. They're either adding more draconian laws because we don't have enough already, or they're trying to figure out a way to bail out some corporation, or all the things they do are negative. Well, at least I would view them. Not all. Most things they view are negative, but that part of that is because they've given up responsibility to like the EPA and different groups. And they let the executive branch now run all military operations. I mean, I get that the president is commander in chief, but do we never declare war again? Is that kind of over? We're just going to fight these endless battles forever and ever and ever. And then they let the Supreme Court rule on things as well. And so, obviously, the Supreme Court issue is interesting, but I don't actually think that Congress gets really upset when the Supreme Court rules, because when the Supreme Court rules, then they've kind of like, it's just one less thing we got to do, right? It's not like we should get rid of a law or fix a law or anything. Oh, the Supreme Court's ruled, therefore it's gone. And so I think that Congress, for the most part, does not care about anything. I think the Supreme Court, right, left, or indifferent, I think they trying to do their job. They have different opinions of what their job is. And the president, let's be honest here, the president. Imagine taking a 16-year-old boy, giving him all the guns in the world, all the money you want, a private jet, and he can go anywhere in the world he wants to, and he's guarded for the rest of his life, and be like, hey, just go do your thing. What do you think is going to happen? That's what the executive branch is. That's what the executive branch is now. So,
well, no, I mean, I think what we're both tiptoeing around, or let me take it to the solution stage. I mean, I think the answer here, or one of the answers, certainly is. What? Anarchy? Is that what you said?
No.
No. Well, I mean, you've heard me talk off air about how every once in a while the purge doesn't seem like a horrible idea. Neither here nor there. Oh, I lost my train of thought. I don't remember what I was going to say. What was I talking about? I don't remember.
I don't either.
Thanks for the help. What?
Go with the purge.
No, I meant before that, but I forget. I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't either. I don't either.
Okay, thank you.
That was kind of concerning there. You're talking about the purge. So, so you're talking about the solution to government. Trump's the swamp.
Yeah, I think the low-hanging fruit here is term limits. If you didn't introduce,
I disagree strongly.
So let's talk about it. So if you introduce term limits to Congress or to senators and representatives, you immediately change the dynamic into so the career politician is no longer a thing. The incentives just to maintain the status quo, to maintain your donors and retain your base, and just keep things the way they are because you're elected and you have a great job. That incentive again is realigned, and then you also by doing that, there's not this element you can make both sides of this case. I'm of the opinion that it makes it easier to rein in I'm going to go get a job in politics and I'm going to do these few things that are really going to help my industry, and then I'm going to leave politics and I'm going to go back to private industry. So I think I think the other side and the stronger case is when for lack of a better, I think she's a good example, and I don't necessarily whatever. Dianne Feinstein, she's been a politician for 50-something years. Okay, never actually had a job outside of politics other than like the first couple out of school. And I just don't, for better or worse, apolitically, I don't think that you should be able to be a politician for life. I think that is axiomatically, improper. But so what do you think about term limits? Where are you at?
Dianne Feinstein's net worth is $58.5 million. Just
let's not even talk about the lining the pockets. I mean, it's an absolute. I mean, it's an absolute racket, and it's something you can laugh about until you actually start to think about it, right? It's
infuriating.
I don't know. I don't know how much the listeners have, I know you and I have talked about like the HSBC scandal off air, and I know that we've talked about like the Operation Fast and Furious, and some of the stuff that you would. What's that?
The Fed.
You would think that those would be like watershed, like oh my god moments, and somehow the media machine just is able to just sweep it under the rug, and it's a pretty remarkable dynamic. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, so I'll address that point and then go back to the term limits. So the thing that I think Americans need to realize is the people who are making a lot of money have no desire to change the system. There's no reason for them to change the system. They're making a lot of money. They are the ones benefiting. Okay, so
they put the system together the way that it for a reason.
They're not stupid. They may sound stupid. They may be stupid on a lot of things, but on this, they are not stupid. They know how to work the system to their benefit. Okay, so when you look at the Federal Reserve and how it actually functions and who owns it and how it gives out loans and all that stuff, it's owned by all the major banks and it's got ties to all those people. So there's no reason for those banks to ever want less banking regulation, because less banking regulation brings out more competition. There's no reason to get rid of the Fed or even have that discussion. So, so I think that when you look at Americans that are middle Americans, middle income Americans, they're just kind of they're frustrated. The tendency is to say that we've got to do something about DC, and the thing to do about DC, and until we do this, it won't matter, is to take the power from DC. And people think, oh well, I'm a Donald Trump. Okay, well that didn't work out for you. Okay, that did not work out for you. He was in for 4 years, and he's gone. He did not get out of the wars. He didn't get the wall built. He didn't do much on China. He didn't. I mean, he did. He has some W's to his name. I'm not trying to say he doesn't, but overall, he didn't, and that's because the swamp is big. It's a big old nasty swamp. It's a big, huge swamp. It's deep.
I'm curious, not to deviate you too much, but I am curious from your perspective. I mean, what? I mean, now that we're at the twilight of the administration, what are the when history looks back, and I'm talking 50 plus years from now, what are the couple few things on the positive side? On the top of the list, obviously, there's a list. On the top of the list, what are the couple few things that you think are going to come out of this administration for being positive that may have and tongue in cheek, but may have a shot at actually being looked at as positive, isolated from all the other things, but actually like a truly good, not a like, oh well, that was a good, but this also happened kind of a done. You know what I mean? What do you think about that? What are some of the?
I think that Trump has shown that political discourse in this country is broken, that the media is full of frauds and hacks, that the political elite do not care about you. And I don't know if he will get the credit for it as history looks upon him. But 20 years from now, I think we'll look at things differently because of what he started.
So it's interesting. I really agree with the first half of what you said, but I really disagree with the second half. What I was going to say originally was, he campaigned on drain the swamp, and while he drained the swamp of some of like the old swampiness, it's still really, really swampy. I mean,
he brought in
right.
Yeah,
right. It's just he re-swamped it with his guys. I mean, like, and so this concept of drain the swamp, and the reason I say it this way, or like what I was thinking about when you were talking there is, I mean, his base, like, and I'm talking about the people that really, really, truly believe in him. I mean, they are fervent. I mean, it's almost like religious, like fanatical level of commitment to this guy who is a politician, and it's amazing. And I don't want to I don't want to go off this side because you and I have had this conversation enough times off air that we don't need to have it on air. But this concept of, the things that he is known for having done, lying, cheating, stealing. He's been convicted in court of all those things. Not him, but his business have been convicted of all those things in court. The things that he's been accused of, and some, I think he's actually been, he's pleaded out on some of the sexual assault stuff and some of the womanizing stuff. The way that he treats people and talks to people, and part of his fervent base are like staunch, devout Christians. And it boggles my, and I don't mean to single out Christians, but I don't believe that he has a strongly, I don't think, like, as an example, I don't think like Orthodox Jews are Trump supporters, or I don't think like devout Muslims are Trump supporters. So that's why I say devout Christians. But it seems like he has a very solid base in that arena. And it seems like everything that he represents and everything that he does screams the opposite. And I'm curious what your take on that is.
Yeah, I think you have to balance. So Trump is willing to support them in some of their endeavors, right? So he's willing to side with them on some of the social issues that they're in favor of. Of course, a lot of the evangelicals are Republicans, anyways, so that you kind of get that. But the other thing is if you turn on,
but that's the thing. It doesn't seem to be fervent Republican love. It's fervent Trumpism, which is
right. Well, yeah. And so the other thing is, though, if you turn on, I don't think Jeb Bush, George Bush, McCain, Romney, they really went after that. I think Trump understood that if he could go to that voter segment, that he could energize them. The other thing, though, is if you look at how the left has handled the evangelicals over the past 20 years since Bush, they are pretty much hostile towards them until election rolls around, and then all of a sudden it's God bless America, let's say a prayer. And so I think the evangelicals understand that the left really does hate them, and Trump is at least going, okay, cool.
Yeah, to be clear, I mean, like I said, I'm certainly not making the case that evangelicals should be moving left, because that's never going to happen, right? But so I'm talking about Trump specifically, and so I mean, you have, I don't know, it's just amazing to me that the cult following he's been able to amass. Given what he is, who he is, and how he treats people and how he acts, if he were some like celebrity status person that was, like, as an example, just to use someone that I think kind of universally is liked, I believe, unless I say this and you're like, oh my God, I hate that guy. But like, as an example, like Dwayne Johnson, like he is relatively universally well liked. If he were to run for president, like he may have a like similar type of cult following, but it would be because of like who he is rather than it. Just I guess it just amazes me that irrespective of other factors, people can really get behind someone that brands the way that Trump
I know,
does.
right? But this is, I think, maybe
missing.
So I've never voted for Trump in my life, just for people who are listening, and I didn't vote for the Democrats either. I'm not a socialist like Ben. For
the record, I didn't vote for Biden either.
You wrote in AOC, but whatever.
Ryan Ray.
You should have. That'd be better than you voted for. That aside, I think when you look at what Trump exposed, and this is what part of my point, when we were under the Bush years, I think if you go back to probably the early 2000s, under the first term of Bush, I think the George W. Bush support was pretty fervent by the Republicans. I don't know if he was a rock star like Trump was, but there's no doubt that they supported him despite the fact that, we didn't have weapons of mass destructions in Iraq, and we're bailing out the banks at the end. And so by the end, it was kind of gone, obviously. But there was a good 4 years in there from when he started to when he won re-election, where he was pretty well. The Republicans were not going to say bad things about him.
Right.
Then you go to the Obama years, and Obama years, what you have is 8 years of literally no negative coverage of the president of any substance. I'm talking about, someone looked this up, say, oh, they criticize him. But you brought up Fast and Furious. You brought up this other stuff. And the things that were scandals like Benghazi, I don't know if that's a scandal or not, to be honest with you, because the Republicans played up every little thing that Obama did. It seems like Obama lied on that. But the media would downplay it so much. So I think when Trump came along, and not only did he say, you know what, I'm going to work on the social issues that you care about. Also, I know these cats are lying to you. And guess what? I'm sick of it too. I think people go, okay, that's what, because Jeb Bush, he's not going to do that. Mitt Romney, they're not going to go out. They may touch on it. They're not going strong like he does.
Oh, no, I completely agree with you. And I mean, the just about face that the media did when covering Obama versus covering Trump is
look at Biden now.
Unbelievable.
Biden's name president.
Also, like it's amazing. The needle, it's just exactly. It's remarkable. But again, and not to belabor the point, we can talk about something else, although I guess we're getting off here in a couple of minutes. But again, I'm not talking about Trump the politician and Trump the narrator and Trump I'm talking about Trump the person, like who he is, who Donald Trump is, not Donald Trump the president, not Donald Trump, like who Donald Trump is. It amazes me that he can get the allegiance that he does, and I don't mean obviously like his party, and it actually has been pretty demoralizing to a degree to see just like the entire GOP go belly up and just like cow to him. Like I don't think I've seen a party due to a president in recent past. Been pretty remarkable.
Okay, I mean, I don't think in the first 2 years they did when because they wouldn't pass the healthcare bill, but
they couldn't because they were stonewalled. But
no, they had the House and the Senate.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Don't let the facts. All the facts. Let me just ask you this: would you rather vote for Donald Trump? Okay, never mind. Donald Trump or the mass murderer John McCain?
Can I get some clarification on the qualifier first before I give an answer?
I mean, has there been a war that John McCain did not want to fight? How many bombs have been dropped behind his votes? And so my point is that we generally talk about politicians like John McCain's a man with integrity and stuff. Bro, that dude's got a lot of blood on his hands. I know he's dead.
Okay, so
but hold on. But that's important.
But go ahead.
I mean, I think this is what I'm saying to you is that Trump wiped off the outside coding that was.
No, but what I was going to say is that Trump campaigned on getting out of the wars. Did he get out of any of them?
They lied to him about how many troops were in Syria.
Oh, I didn't hear that story.
Yeah, I mean, there's Jim Jeffrey, diplomat, said that they come out and said literally that they lied to him about how many troops were in Syria. They played a shell game so he wouldn't know how many were there. John Bolton in his book talks about how they were like Trump would be pounding the table. I got to get out of these wars. I told the people I'd get out of these wars, and they're like, "No, you're crazy." Basically, I don't. On that one, he should have just stoned up and done it because he's the commander in chief. But they were definitely working against him on that, and that's my point about McCain or these other guys. I think that the Republicans that voted for him and the liberals that voted for him, they just had enough of this other bullcrap. They just said, "Okay, John McCain's supposedly a good guy. Obama's supposedly a good guy. None of these guys are good guys. They're all terrible humans. They're all terrible humans."
Okay, so first of all, I don't disagree with that assessment. I'm not going to fight you there. If you were, I mean, heck, the guy is. I was going to say, if you were to see a business owner, the guy is a business owner. Like, do you think that the way that President Trump ran his administration is indicative of somebody that is, a thought leader and someone to be trusted and someone to like give the reins to?
I think the wrong person this question because I don't trust any of them. So like, I get.
But I'm talking about comparative to the others. So I mean, I think it is apropos.
Well, so I would say if you're talking about going back to the primary season in 2016, okay, I would have considered Rand Paul. He's probably identifies to be the most as far as political values. Bernie Sanders, I think, was very much Trump-like as far as spotting the problems with what's going on with the ties with corporation and government. Obviously,
his own party won't even let him get elected.
Right. I mean, right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't say, listen, I don't want the burn. I don't want to feel the burn. Trust me. I don't want no part of that. But
I would have rathered him than the guy that's going to be taking office here in a minute.
Wow. See, I called you a socialist and you pushed back, and now here it is. Go ahead, Ben. Let it all out. This is good. Let's get it out.
You're one of those people that, like, if somebody advocates for one thing or says something, they're automatically like against the other one.
Of course. When I'm talking to you, especially.
Yeah.
So no, I mean,
let's just point out that you keep talking about the Harris administration. For some reason, you think that Biden is like already on his way out.
That's what they said. There's a clip. You ever seen it? Like in the same day, like the other day, they both said that Kamala Harris for the Joe Biden administration.
Oh, really?
back when they were running. It was funny. So no, I mean, I think long-winded ways. Get back to it. I think what Trump did is he took the shine off of all of that stuff in DC. And people just didn't look at the same. Now with Biden winning, you have to wonder how much of that went back to the old way. But I don't necessarily think that, John McCain, Mitt Romney, I think those guys, Barack Obama, they all play nice guys. Biden, he kind of plays a nice guy. But if you watch Biden on the campaign trail, he's a jerk. Like, he's just a jerk. Do you remember him getting into it with the people at the factories? He's a jerk. He is no better than Trump. He's just not. He just pretends to be. And people looked at that and said, God, finally someone, at least we know who he is. Whether you do or not, it's a different story. But I think that's the thing. And so you get John McCain going, oh, he's a good man. Okay, whatever, John. Of course you think he's a good man. You're part of the establishment. This is making you millions of dollars every year. Are you really going to say something controversial?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All great points. No, I think, there's a lot there. Again, I don't know if that discounts my point, but
I don't think it does. I don't think it discounts your point. I'm not saying it discounts your point. I'm just trying to say to you, from your perspective, it's hard to see. From other people's perspective, this is what they're saying, and they're just like, okay. And you're like, I still don't understand it. I don't understand why you would vote for any of these buffoons. That's my point. Like,
but you keep talking about the politician, and I'm talking about the person. But
I don't care who they are. I don't care. So, Ben, when you're running for president of the United States. If you were going to run for president of the United States, I would have legit concerns, and I know you pretty well, about what and you had a real shot. I'd have legit concerns. You're about to get power that is unchecked for the most part.
Again, you're talking about the politics of it. I'm talking about
you, the person. I know you, the person. I'm saying if you were running for president, I would be concerned about you being president.
I would be too.
Okay, well, very well. My point is that I think that is what is lost in the discourse is that when you get to DC or there was a guy if you care to look this up, he won a special election as Congress in U.S. Congress when I was in Louisiana. Okay, Before he got sworn in, I think, right after he got sworn in, he was caught on camera, like the garage cam, like outside of his office, kissing his campaign manager, which was a woman. She was married to his best friend. Okay. Okay. So this is like he wins on November before he gets sworn in. I think he got sworn in, but the footage came out afterwards. It's like in October or December, he's caught making out with her. Turns out they were having an affair. Best friend's wife, campaign manager. He's okay. McAllister or something. I can't remember his name. He goes and it's like a special election, so he only has like a year term, and so he gets out. He loses. Surprise. In the real election, and he starts talking about as soon as he got there, he had no shot of winning re-election, and still how much money and influence and power was coming his way. A rookie special election term congressman from the U.S. 5th Congressional District of Louisiana, an irrelevant district with irrelevant people where I was born and raised, no power, no real, when you get to these spots, the corruption is, I don't know if it's House of Cards level, but it's not too far away.
Well, I mean, so to that point, I think one of the things that has alarmed me of recent is kind of let's do it. Why not? What in the world is Trump doing with the re-election campaign funds? I mean, they're still drawing in tens of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars to fight these lawsuits, quote unquote. But most of the money is basically just being funded into a super PAC that if the super PAC doesn't ever actually get launched, the money gets to be disseminated however people in charge of the super PAC want to disseminate it. I don't understand how that can be going on unchecked. And also it's remarkable to me that, they're raising ungodly sums of money for what seems to be a non-starter. I think, by the way, I will say, I don't think I did service last podcast talking about the election fraud stuff. There are definitely some concerns. Thank you. There are definitely some things that have been pointed out, but what we talked about last time is important. That the election system, that's not a new thing in 2020. It's not as though the election is
every election.
But no, exactly. So, but the right seems to be making it seem like they're coming after Trump in 2020. Voter fraud has been a thing, arguably will always be a thing until we get on the blockchain. But it's not as, I guess the narrative piece of this is the first time it's ever happened and now it's rampant. It is completely unfair. But I certainly don't want to paint the picture that there's not fraud going on, because that's also unfair.
I just think that with anything else, it's okay. This is the presidential election. It's the most important election every 4 years. If there's no reason not to investigate it, and if it turns out Trump's right, then so be it. If it's not, then so be it. My pushback is more on the media saying it doesn't happen. It's like, well, okay, it does happen, and so that's you just give yourself over to the narrative.
If you're the president of the United States and you're alleging fraud on the levels that they are, and you are fighting it in court, and you're asked by a reporter or any other news, if you're asked by someone of a news agency, whatever, hey, what's going on here? What do you got? And your answer is, you'll see in court. I'm never going to support that, and I have very, 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 very strong feelings about that. And so let me say it a different way: if the administration or if the legal team of any kind actually have irrefutable fact proof, show it, provide it.
I do agree.
All they do is deflect and move on, and they won't actually answer the questions. And what does that tell me? That they don't have shit. And if they had it, they'd provide it.
I do agree that I would probably show it to the media as well. But if they're going to show it in court, to me, it's the same thing. So because in court,
but they're not showing anything in court. That's the thing.
I didn't say that they were. I didn't say they were. I'm just saying that you said if they don't show it to the media, you're not going to listen.
No, but they continue. But for weeks now, they've alleged this. They've come after it. They continue to talk about these bombshells. Where's the fucking bombshell?
Well,
where is it?
Don't let the facts, right? Don't let the facts.
So give me one. I mean, heck.
I'm not defending.
No, I don't mean you. No, I didn't mean you. I meant what Giuliani or whatever the other person's name is, or anybody else. Give me one thing to grasp onto that's oh my god, that's something we got to. We haven't seen anything. It's been a lot of posturing.
I agree.
And I mean, Trump is making it really easy for him to ride off in the sunset and say that he didn't lose. But I think anybody paying attention is I guess what I'm saying is I think that he has way overplayed his hand, and I think that he is tarnishing his legacy way more than it ever was going to be with his actions. I think the way that he's leaving office is going to leave a really bad taste in people's mouth, and I think this is something that history is not going to forget.
Well, I mean, history says that Abraham Lincoln is the greatest president, so I'm not really, the historians are not.
We should talk about that. That's a good. Put a pin in that one. I've got some thoughts.
I mean, the historians are not necessarily the best people at judging history, but yeah, I don't know. I agree with you that Trump's got to. We said last week, put up or shut up. I know they won a court case and then they lost another one, so. They probably lost more than one, I'm saying, but they won one, I think, in Pennsylvania, but then they end up losing maybe the appeal or something. So
I'm not sure. I think we talked about this last time, but I'm not sure. But I think the case that you're talking about, they got a temporary injunction, but then the injunction was reversed. So the win, they didn't actually get the win because it was reversed back. But
I don't know if they'll appeal to the Supreme Court or whatever. But yeah, at this point,
But I mean, the other side of the coin is okay. So let's say that you win Pennsylvania. Let's say that you win Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. You flip both. You still lose.
Right,
like the math doesn't don't want the facts.
That's the larger problem. Is it doesn't feel like they're close on multiple states, much less one state. But like you got to be close on like 4 states right now because time is of the essence. And so, and it would be another thing. And maybe they're getting close. I haven't heard, but if they're getting close to the Supreme Court, like if the Supreme Court had agreed to hear a case, we could at least have some inkling of how legitimate their claims are.
So they do. They are saying that they've got I forget which lawsuit, but one of the suits in Pennsylvania is going to. I guess it's the Second Circuit. I think. And then if the Second Circuit, I think the Second Circuit is going to rule on whether they're going to rule or not, and if they don't, it would go to the Supreme Court. I think that's what I read. I could have gotten that story wrong.
No, that'd be fine. But they got to the 14th until the Electoral College meets, 15th, something like that.
But I mean, no, that's the thing. I mean, I think the frustrating thing for me at this point is just the refusal to admit the fact of we lost the election, and like irrespective of potential voter fraud and irrespective of any of the alleged, the election was lost. And to like delegitimize the process is like I think that people let me tell you.
Make sure you're saying what you're saying. This is for argument's sake. Let's say tomorrow in 7 battleground states, Trump wins undisputed cases, and it's not like the judge they roll out the bracket and they've got the evidence, and you walk and it's like everyone who's got a brain agrees that they cheated. You would then agree that Trump should be the rightful president moving forward, right?
Absolutely. No question.
Okay. 100%. The way you said it makes it sound like that, so I want to make sure that that's
absolutely.
Okay,
but that card will not be played, right?
I don't think it's gonna happen either.
But yes, absolutely. If there's some watershed, like if they were to prove that the whatever that the election software was corrupted, or if they were to prove something massive, it wouldn't take me it wouldn't take anything just to turn me. But
I think that's part of the Trump supporters' frustration is they just want to hear that. Because when I've talked to a few of them offline, I'm like, I don't think you got anything. They're like, no. It's like, well, okay, if you prove it, I'll change my mind. And usually when you say that, they're like, oh, okay. But if you say there's nothing, that's what So let me give you a handful of things. You have the CDC came out last week and said that they're considering reducing the quarantine time for coronavirus from 14 days to either 7 or 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
You have two major vaccine companies announce vaccines right after the election. Okay. You have what was
no coincidence there?
Huh?
Yeah, no coincidence there.
Yeah, and there's one other thing. And then you have on top of all of that, you have Trump alleging that the campaign, the election was rigged, and the media is saying no, is it possible? So whatever you think about the election, it's hard to buy that all of a sudden we've miraculously determined that we can be less time quarantined for COVID-19, being that we've ruined sports leagues and businesses and all that stuff. But now we can during flu season, mind you, during flu season, we've determined we have less time. We can do it. Also, the vaccines were announced after the election. Whatever you think about what happened in the election, people look at these other things, rightfully so, and go, "See, you're trying to screw him. You're trying to screw him. If you're willing to do that, then you're willing to screw the election." I'm not saying, listen, Ben, I'm not saying it's right. It's just.
Oh no. All I was going to say is what I don't think you're right about is I don't think that a lot of people picked up on that. I don't think that was. I think that kind of flew under the radar.
I'm just too smart. Once again, it is what it is. But I mean,
you missed a spot.
Oh,
there it is.
But no, I mean, I think that Trump supporters are rightfully frustrated with all of these things. And so when you say that when the media handles it like they do, what do you expect them to? How do you expect them to react?
So, if the Trump supporter that you're talking about, this like esoteric or this like ethereal Trump supporter,
I mean, I know Trump.
What's that?
I know Trump supporters.
I do too. No, I do too. Believe.
Okay.
I mean, I live in Midland. Hello. I could sneeze on one of them. Actually, I shouldn't say that out loud right now. What up, God, I've been doing this all day today. I just lost my train of thought. I forgot where I was going.
If you could tell a Trump supporter something about the election, COVID, convince them.
No. Oh yeah. Sorry. If you're a Trump supporter right now and you're frustrated, you just had 4 years of the Trump presidency, and so like, what makes you think that a Trump presidency is the answer to your frustration? And like the other side of that coin is, it amazes me that Trump has been president for 4 years, and somehow he's like gotten his base to blame everything negative that's happened in the last 4 years on Obama. Give Trump credit for everything positive, and everything positive, like going into the future, is going to be because of Trump, and everything negative is going to be because of Biden. Like it's an amazing marketing tack. It's sort of on the level of like the WeWork Adam Newen, with the SoftBank walk away with the 1.6 billion. It's like just in a different way. It's scary, but remarkable. You look like you had a lot to say there.
I just admiring the man's talent, because it's skill. Let's be honest. It's a skill me and you both wish we had. Okay. We both wish we could get credit for all the wins, blame the losses on someone else. I mean, like it's
absolutely no question.
It's like his CPA,
but it's that fanatical sort of like heroism that it's just, I don't know. It's I mean, I'm not fooling myself. Like, so Obama clearly had that sort of celebrity status for his people, but he didn't govern at all like Trump did. Other than those two, and maybe it's just because of recent memory now that I'm thinking about it, but like Bush didn't seem to have like a fervent, that sort of following. Other than, I mean, obviously you're always going to have the staunch Republicans that are always in their corner, but I'm talking about the man, not the position. But
I don't like any of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you and I definitely talked about this off air. So I laughed earlier when you were like, when you run for president. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that I don't have like the skill set to one day be president, but I have less than zero desire to ever take on a role like that because of what else it comes with, and the benefits certainly do not outweigh the detriments in my calculus on that.
If I were to run for president,
if you run for president, I'm definitely your VP. That's
the best job ever, right? You have no responsibility. You show up to the Senate the 3 times a year that they vote. You get a big, nice steak dinner. You go cut ribbons and kiss babies. And, I would prefer, if you're going to be president, to be Secretary of State. Just because I'm going to be at Fiji. I'm going to be at Hawaii. Like, when Pompeo and China have the talks, they're meeting in Hawaii.
That's true, yeah.
Meet in the middle of Hawaii. It's like, oh, I'm sure that you are. I want a Secretary of State job just for like a year. That's all I can handle.
Secretary of State, and if I'm in your administration, I'm going to take the speechwriter position, because that just seems too good to pass up.
So I know we get ready to wrap up here. So should we have a like a corrections segment at the end of the podcast. Like, okay, hey, or should we let people just wonder what were the things we really believed and what were the things we didn't believe?
Did you ever watch on ESPN that trivia show Stump the Schwab?
Oh yeah.
And at the end of was it that show that at the end? Oh no, it was. What's that?
Pardon interruption. Where they have the stat boy.
Interruption. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Yep. Where they have the stat boy at the end. Yeah, we should have a stat boy.
Okay, so what are your stat boy corrections for the episode?
Oh, that means I have to like remember what I said. Oh, this is a fatal flaw in the process. I don't know. Never mind. I take it back. No, I thought we did pretty well today. I'm sure. Actually, you know what? We probably should do it on like as the lead in to the next episode every time because I'll need to think about it over the next week of what I actually said, and maybe the week hindsight will help me. I got nothing. What do you think?
Yeah, just to be clear, I do not think John McCain is a literal mass murderer. Unless you think voting for all the wars makes you a mass murderer. In that case, he is a literal mass murderer, along with all the other people who did it. I'll let you figure out the line there. Did that help or make it more confusing?
No, you definitely just stuck the shovel in the ground, just like yeah. No, that didn't help. That was not helpful at all. Oh boy, this was a roller coaster. I feel like we went through a lot today. That was good.
Yeah, we went an hour and 5 minutes. We're about to be an hour and 6. You showed up 15 seconds before we went live, so
I showed up on time. I don't know why. I was ready to go when the buzzer went live. I was in my seat ready to go.
There, you had your warm ups off, and you was ready to go. You checked in the game.
Ready to play.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll be back. Unfortunately, next week.
Don't let the facts.